Hey everybody, what's going on? We are live for another edition of Keep Calm and Carry. Tonight we have a awesome guest. He's one of the guys I have a bromance with, and I'm not ashamed to say it. But before I get into that, naturally I have my shameless plugs for the YouTube channel. If this is your first time with Fit and Fire, my name is Mark. I am sure glad you are spending your Monday night. I know everybody's trying to shake off the weekend, and that is awesome that you've decided to hang out with me for a little bit. I'm going to chat with our guest for about an hour, and then we'll let you guys get some sleep so we can tackle Taco Tuesday. So, with that being said, before I get into the live chat tonight, naturally, I want to do a shameless plug for the channel. If this is your first time, naturally, you may not know that fitandfire.com is my website. It is up and running, and it is there to supplement everything I do with the YouTube channel. Because of YouTube's policies and guidelines, I can't directly link to firearm manufacturers or companies. So I have all of that over on my website. If you're interested in daily or weekly deals, my EDC stuff, gear, my builds, just a whole bunch of different stuff, I have that over at fitandfire.com. I try to update that as regularly as I possibly can, if I could even say the word. But if you guys are interested, that would be cool. Naturally, I am teamed up with Revolutionary Patriot as well. I have a Fit and Fire t-shirt if you guys are interested in that. All that stuff is down in the links below on the description of the video. So if you guys are interested in supporting the channel, that would be awesome. A lot of the links on my website and with Revolutionary Patriot are affiliate links. So while I'm trying to save you guys money, you guys are helping support the channel as well. So I would appreciate it. In addition to that, I also have Patreon and PayPal accounts. So if you guys are interested in doing that, you can also hit that super chat function in the chat room if you're so inclined to do so. I would appreciate it. That's another way that you guys can support the channel as well. Naturally, because of my Patreon members supporting the channel, I have to give them a shout out. We've got Craig, the original Patreon supporter, James, John, Luke, the Grim Reaper, Puck, 66871, the Semi-Armed Life, love those peeps, and the Real Gun Snob. It was really good to meet him. I got to meet him face-to-face at the Tulsa Gun Show, so had a lot of good times there, and really great chat. Todd, here, Take My Money, Schmidt, and new additions here just last week, Izzy, Hard Tacos Are the Best, Long, and Tundra Tactical. Guys, thanks so much for jumping on board. I sure do appreciate it. So let's swing on over real quick. Let's say hi to everybody into the chat room. Andrew Lovelace jumping in with the super chat for basically $10, saying start off the night right. Sure do appreciate it, Drew. Thanks so much. He has been a huge supporter of the channel and couldn't do a lot of the videos that I've done already without him. So, Drew, thanks so much for everything that you do. We've got Alana. She's in there. Semi-Armed Life gal, Mrs. Semi-Armed Life. We'll go ahead and just drop that in there. The Grim Reaper. Dylan Brown, Special K, Ryan, Frank, Mario, James, and Yehuda. Everybody's swinging in. Delance, hey, Delance, good to see you. Freaking crazy bastard. It's good to see you guys in there. Thanks so much. I sure do appreciate it. So naturally, with that, let's get into it. Tonight, we have, like I said, one of my bromances, and he is quite possibly have the second best hair, but always the best dress. We have Brandon Herrera in live chat tonight. Thank you so much, Brandon, for joining us. So could you just kind of elaborate to those of you who may not know who you are and why should they care?
All right. Well, Mark, first of all, thanks for having me on. I appreciate it. I haven't seen you since SHOT Show, so this is quite exciting for me and you know, all the right places. Well, for those of you who don't know me, my name is Brandon Herrera. I am the owner of the AK Guy, the co-owner of Stark Media Group, inventor/developer of the AK-50, and all-around court jester of the AK community.
Court jester. That's a very colorful way to put it, to say the least.
It's about the best way I could come up with. It's the only thing that really fit to what I kind of do. You know, I drink and I know things, and I make fun of them.
Yes, and that's a very nice, large iced glass of water you've got there. Congrats
Oh
to
yeah,
you on that.
it's a little foggy water. Carbonated.
Yes, very good. All right, so you are the AK guy. I think there's a meme going around, kind of equating you to AK Jesus, and
Which I first saw on an Uber back to our hotel at SHOT Show, and I laughed my ass off. It was it's kind of funny. I've the funny enough, the first person to actually call me that. There's been like allusions to it. Oh cool, I'm getting notifications while I'm in the chat. Sorry, somebody else just bought a gun. So thank you, whoever that was. Um, the first person to call me that was uh, Mike Pappas of Dead Air Suppressors or Dead Air Silencers. And I think he was like slightly roasting me while we were doing a photo shoot. Like, look, if any of you guys know Mike Pappas, like just the cadence and the way he talks is hilarious. It's look at that fucking guy over there. Looks like fucking AK Jesus. I was at the JMax shoot. So that was just kind of funny. And then it just kind of stuck around. So,
Right
I mean,
on.
as long as I got the hair, I'll kind of roll with it.
Alaskan Ballistics jumping in there saying, if Brandon Herrera wasn't drinking, I'd be worried about him. I think.
Yeah. If I was ever on a podcast, I don't care if it's through the Catholic Church. If I wasn't on a podcast with a drink in my hand, you'd have to, like, in the chat, I want people to be like, well, blink 3 times really quick if you're at gunpoint.
Yeah, it's hilarious. Alana wants to know who has the best hair on YouTube, and unfortunately, as much as my narcissistic self would like to say me, I'm going to have to go ahead and say the warrior poet John Lovell. I think he's got us beat. What do you think?
I want to do a hair off with the warrior poet himself, and it's going to happen.
I think so.
I think actually it was 182nd Ideas was Johnny Baggins.
Yep.
He was the one who actually compared us for the first time. And I had actually not heard of John before that point. And so I immediately saw him, stalked him, found his address, and have been sending him death threats ever since. So I'm just making sure that, he hasn't cut his hair yet, but it's going to happen soon. I promise you.
Right.
There can only be one of us here.
There can only be one. I will just lament and say that I come in a very close third. Would that be fair?
No, I actually think once I get to, my death threats finally, take effect and do their thing, you'll be a very close second.
Oh. All right. Let's get, I tell you, tonight, I can tell you guys, tonight's probably going to go through a number of different rabbit holes. I'm going to do my best to keep everything on track, but
good luck, and may the odds be ever in your favor.
Exactly. Miss Kitty wanting to know what are you drinking, and naturally, if it's AKs, it's going to be vodka. So enjoy your Russian heritage and go ahead and crack some vodka for us. For some of us who have to drink water and not any liquor at this point. So, all right. So let's get back on track here. What started Brandon down the AK path? Why not the good old-fashioned American sporting rifle in the AR-15? I know that's kind of trite, but why the AK?
Funny enough, that was the first rifle I had ever shot. I think I was in like 3rd grade, and my dad had just picked one up, and he's like, yeah, here, son, we're, going to go make you a man, sort of thing. So we go out to some family property and just start gunning away. And I remember this vividly. It's one of those weird things that, you look back and reflect on, but I remember shooting it and asking him like it just, cause I remember it's a lot of sharp recoil. 7.62 for a 3rd grader is, quite intense, especially a slightly overgassed SAR-1. And I remember shooting it and thinking like, okay, this is like a little much. Can I shoot it fast? And then just sitting there like holding it from the hip like Tony Montana and just dumping like 5 or 6 rounds. And then I was just hooked from there on. But I remember bragging to my friends at school the next day. I had no idea what the fuck it was. All right. I had no idea what an AK was. Nobody told me any of this stuff. And I remember bragging to them, I shot a German machine gun. And I
The
don't know why I
Sturmgewehr.
remember that. Yeah, I don't know why I remember that, but it was a German machine gun.
Yeah, so I can remember in late elementary or early middle school walking around bragging about how my dad had an AK-47, and the idea of me just knowing what an AK-47 was pretty interesting. The only reason why I knew what it was because of the movie Heartbreak Ridge. Outside of that, I knew nothing about it.
Well, that's a pretty interesting introduction to it.
Exactly.
That's one of like the iconic scenes for the AK. I think it's that and Lord of War. The AK-47.
Exactly. And what's interesting is I can remember going back and watching all these different movies with the AK, and that, as stupid as this sounds, the distinct sound that the AK has when it's on full auto.
Mhm.
And I never really bought into it. I always thought it was like a hyped up soundtrack that they would throw into every single movie. But it turns out, after going to my first IV 88 range day and shooting my very first AK on full auto, and then listening to the video that was taken of me shooting it, it's exactly the same. And I was like, it's silly, but one of those
it's
things.
A song of my people.
Yes.
And everybody in Linden, North Carolina knows what it sounds like.
Exactly right.
Whether they want to or not.
Exactly. Yeah. I'm pretty sure they love you as a neighbor.
Some of them do.
Yeah.
Some of them do.
Armament and Axis says Red Dawn ? Come on now. So yeah, Red Dawn was actually, I watched Red Dawn after I saw Heartbreak Ridge. So Heartbreak Ridge was my first introduction to the AK-47, and it's still one of my most beloved movies. So for the people who think AKs are just silly, inaccurate commie rifles, what would you say to them?
I would say you should probably try shooting one, first of all. Because, and that's kind of like a little bit of like a joking jab, but at the same time, there are a lot of people who like just, they buy into the urban legends. And, they go on the gun store talk and what everybody's told them and things like that. But a lot of the people who kind of rail against AKs have never actually shot a decent one. You got a lot of like, people who've gone to Iraq and Afghanistan and things like that, and they picked up these rifles that are completely burned out because they were Soviet pickups. Gun was made in the 60s, brought to Afghanistan in the 70s in the Soviet invasion, and have been tossed around from tribe to tribe in different tribal wars for 20 years, has 80,000 rounds down the barrel. Thing's a damn smoothbore, and then they shoot it full auto. Like, this thing can't hit shit. I'm like, yeah. Yep. Exactly. So if you buy like a decent new production AK with forged trunnions and a decent barrel, like, you'd be absolutely shocked the kind of accuracy you can get out of the box, especially if you put some sort of optic or red dot or whatever, because it's not the AK doesn't have as big of a problem with attachments as people like to hype up. They like to say like it's not modular at all. Really, I mean, there are a lot of options in 2019 for AKs.
And that's one of the things that I'm really excited for, especially in 2019. Talking off air, I was telling Brandon that I have a AK-47 inbound that I'm excited to shoot. I'm actually looking to see if there's the ability for me to compare that with one of Brandon's rifles here, and we'll get into that here in just a second. But
he cornered me about it at SHOT Show and literally wouldn't let me leave to go to my meeting until I told him I'd send him one.
Yes, exactly. There may or may not have been some fondling involved, but we'll leave that to you guys' imagination.
I don't kiss and tell.
Exactly. So
language.
Let's take a break real quick. It's getting hot in here. So let's swing on over to the chat room. We've got some additional peeps in there with the mil-spec guy. He says that he remembers seeing an SKS as a teenager in the 90s and thinking that it was badass. I was really pretty dumb as a kid too. Well, I don't think that I don't really think you've outgrown that one there, Mike. So there you go. We got little Miss Kitty. She's running around in the chat room somewhere in there. Jeff Raspberry, he's jumped in there as well. Really do appreciate it. Alaskan Ballistics, he's jumped in there. And all right. So if you guys have any questions for the AK guy, just make sure you pop them in. I will try to get to them as best as I can.
And Mark, I'm going to have to rely on you as my comment condom because I cannot actually read the chat, unfortunately, because I'm pulled up in the Google Hangout. So you're going to have to be the surrogate.
Yeah, I will do my best. I will do my best. Alaskan Ballistics says, Brandon, are you still coming moose hunting with the AK-50?
Abso-fucking-lutely. I never cared about moose hunting in my life. It's never something I'm just like, hey, I want to go, fly to Alaska and hunt a moose. But as soon as you left that comment, I'm like, yeah, I could fuck with that.
You probably could tag one at about a mile, right?
It depends on what kind of accuracy we can pull out of that thing. If we got it, trekking through the woods, you'd probably want like a 20-inch barrel just for weight's sake. And for, not hating yourself and the ability that you could throw it on a sling. And if you fall up the side of a mountain, you're not going to dislocate your entire body, like your entire spinal. You're going to look like you've got scoliosis by the time you get to the bottom of the hill.
Yeah. So I have to divert back to the chat room because Drew, he just dropped in a really good freaking question here. On the heels of your video that you dropped today. And if you guys don't know, Brandon drops a video just about every Monday. Is that about right?
Every Monday, and now we're almost to the point where we can start doing it every Thursday. We have every Thursday content lined up for like the next 3 weeks, so we'll see if we can keep that going.
Right on. So today you did the 6,000 round test of the Vishka or Visca, however you want to pronounce it.
Depends on which Century marketing rep you're talking to.
Yeah, I don't know. I kind of like the Vishka.
It sounds very Soviet, doesn't it?
Vishka. Yes. Yeah, I don't have like a very... Yes, exactly. But Drew wants to know, is the Vishka the Nickelback of AKs?
See, I don't think so, because I kind of like Nickelback sometimes.
There you go.
Like, yeah. I don't know. So I don't have to be careful, but I choose to be kind of careful because I want to give it a fair shake, and I don't want to be one of those guys who just shakes down competitors' products just for the shit of it. But I have not been impressed by the way Century has handled their U.S.-made AKs attempts in the past. They almost had a good thing going with the C39V2, and then they like reversed full course and went deep into the RAS 47s and the Vishkas, which whatever, man. I guess I can't see their spreadsheets. I don't know what their margins look like, but yeah, they've been trying to do this. People are like, oh, well, it's good to know they're finally turning this ship around. Like they had a couple of attempts. I'm like, motherfuckers, they've been doing this for like 6 years and they're still fucking it up. So it's like every time they're like, oh, maybe this is the one. I'm like, you guys have either not been here very long or you've got very short memory because this has been going on for a little while.
Now, for some of us who are not as intelligent when it comes to the AKs, wouldn't you say that Century does put together some parts kit AKs decently, or is that not correct? No.
So they're interesting distinction. So they are importers. So they don't actually. They used to put together parts kit builds, and they were known as being some of the worst builds ever. They were using like 5.56 barrels on 5.45s. Like I've had to fix a lot of Century builds. Like it's out there. There's some shit that, yeah. So they're a pretty good importer though. And so like a lot of the Wasser 10s and things like that, they are responsible for bringing that into the country. And they used to be bringing in all the Zastavas, like the PAP M92 pistols and things like that. Those are all brought in by Century, but not anymore. They're actually losing contracts now. So Zastava Arms USA is the new importer of the Zastava stuff. So any of the Serbian AKs, any of the Yugos are now being brought in through there.
Right on. So Yehuda jumping in there and say the AK would go to the weapon of anti-capitalists, anti-Americans, and revolutionaries of all stripes. used by gangs, guerrilla fighters, and terrorists around the world. How would you respond?
So I always thought that was kind of entertaining because it's a true. I mean, it's a fact. You can't really debate it. But I always think it's funny to see people who are, AR-15 fanboys, which I don't have anything on the AR-15. It's a perfectly adequate weapon platform. I enjoy shooting them. Don't tell anybody I said that. It's not like this will be on the internet forever.
You heard it here first, peeps.
But it's the pro-gun advocates that in the same breath say, guns don't kill people, people kill people. The gun is just a tool. Like, it's just about the person who's got it, things like that. And then they're like, oh, all of a sudden that one tool is a commie gun that, only communists and guerrilla fighters. It's like, whoa, dude, it's a hunk of steel. We just had this conversation.
Exactly.
So, like, the minute you pick up an AK, it's not like it's fucking Transformers where you just, oh, I'm a communist now. It's like, no, not quite.
Well, as long as it's never mind. I'm not even going to say it.
Go for it. Bomb on your own show. Bomb on your own show.
No, yeah, it's too easy. I'm sorry. I've gotten Saturday night. For those of you obviously don't know, I've been training for a fight. I've got a fight on March 30th. It's going to be my amateur debut as a kickboxer, and I got the shit kicked out of me Saturday night. I went. We did sparring for 30 minutes, and then we transitioned to the ring, and I did 3-minute rounds. The first guy was 260 pounds. I posted a video of a little small video clip of that on Instagram. The next guy was a really, really like high speed. Like, this dude was super fast, 135-pound dude, and I'm chasing him around the ring. And then the last dude was probably 185 and about half my age and pretty damn quick as well. And that last dude kicked the living crap out of me. I mean, freaking threw me around the ring, knocked me down. Had we gone another 30 seconds, I'm pretty sure he would have knocked me out. So I'm extremely tired, and I'm trying to keep the energy up, but these jokes are just not coming like I thought.
It's interesting. It's always an interesting experience being humbled. Did you used to have fight experience? Because that's kind of a weird thing. A lot of people are like, I'm going to go to Planet Fitness. And you're like, I want to fucking fight somebody. So, like, did you used to do a lot of kickboxing stuff like that? Or you just decided to get into it?
So,
see Creed and then like, hey, that's what I want to do.
So I watched Kickboxer about 4 weeks ago and decided I could do that.
No, really? Okay, so I was just going to say, like, it's that easy then. Okay.
Not kidding. So as a young kid, I was in Taekwondo, which is pretty much your standard gateway into martial arts here in the United States. I did fairly well there. In just 3 months, I went through 3 different testing went through 3 different tests and was a yellow belt green tip by the time I was ready for a state tournament. Took 3rd in the state tournament, and it just became real easy for me. So I kind of drifted away from that. And when I got into the military, they have combatives. I really enjoyed that. Got into watching UFC, and I would imagine right now it's kind of a midlife crisis, to be frankly honest with you. I started working out at a gym called 9 Round. 9 Round is a high intensity interval training style gym that has 9 different stations. Each station's 3 minutes long, and then you have a 30-second rest in between each station. But that 30-second rest is push-ups, jumping jacks, burpees, squat kicks, air squats, wall sit, all these different.
That's the break.
That's the break. Exactly.
So do they ever let your heart rate actually go back down to rest during this entire time? No shit. How long does it last?
About 30 minutes. So if you go from start to end, it's supposed to be 30 minutes. Now, I always add in a couple extra rounds because I like to work the speed bag or the heavy bag a little bit more, especially right now. But I got in good with one of the trainers. His name's Cole. He's a amateur MMA guy. He's purple belt Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. He's been in numerous karate and legitimately karate tournaments. and a few other martial arts as well. And he just came up to me one day, at the beginning of December, and he's like, "Hey, March 30th, you want to go?" And I was like, what? Yeah, what are we doing?" And he's like, "Probably kickboxing. You can do kickboxing or MMA, but I think kickboxing would be good for you." And I was like, "Okay, let's do it."
Well, hell yeah.
Not knowing what I was getting into. And
Wow.
yeah, so I'm in the weight cutting phase right now. So um, I've got to drop a good solid 10 pounds in the next month. And then I should be
Wow.
able
In a
to,
month. Wow.
yeah, it should be okay. I should be all right.
How many calories are you eating a day?
Um, Between 13 to 1500.
Okay. Yeah. So you're going aggressive.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's mostly white meat. So
Mhm.
chicken or fish. So, every once in a while, the other pink meat, but that'll have to wait for another 9 months. But
That's
let's keep it clean, kids.
there you go. I don't
So
know what you're talking about. What do you mean, Mark? Please explain. Yeah, I recently I got into a fight and I got really frankly lucky and I won, but that was kind of like my big wake up moment that like, hey, I'm 23 and I don't know how to fight.
hmm,
So I've been kind of doing a lot of that. I've incorporated that into normal workouts because like I got big into fitness like a year and a half ago, and then I got a heavy bag and everything like that. So now I'm starting to like open up anytime I do like an upper body workout throughout the week. Like I'll open up with like 10 minutes of 1 to 10 drills on a heavy bag or something like that, which I think is probably good.
yeah, exactly. Drew wanted to know which kickboxer, as far as the movie reference. Of course, naturally the original. However, there is a sequel to Kickboxer. It has George St. Pierre in it, and it's completely lame, but it's a lot of fun. So um, George St. Pierre, uh, not a very good actor. So now I had a good question here. I wanted to back up on. Oh yeah,
Sure.
Wild Bill here. He says if I could only afford one gauge for checking headspace on a 5.45, should
No
it
go.
be no go? He
No
says
go.
go, no go, or field gauge.
No go.
Okay.
Field gauge will tell you when your rifle's going to blow up. That's important to know. Uh, I feel like that's probably a little understated. The go gauge can. All right, don't quote me on AK files, but go gauge, you really don't need it as long as your bolt goes into battery with a live round. All right, you're okay. It just means the bolt closes. Because if your barrel's too far back on an AK, so let me break this down like layman as I can get. On the AR-15, you really don't have to worry about headspace that much because headspace is predetermined between the barrel and the barrel extension, which comes as one piece on the AR-15. You just have to lock it down. On the AK, it's not like that. On the AK, the headspace is determined by how far the barrel is pushed into the trunnion. So that is 100% on your builder. And if it's got bad headspace, it's a press fit too. It's not threaded in or anything like that. It's a press fit. So if they fucked up their headspace and just drilled and pinned it, you're going to have a bad time, especially when that metal starts to settle after a couple thousand rounds. So that's why people are like, "Oh, my RAS 47 is just fine after 500 rounds." I'm like, "Hey, yeah, I bet it is. I really do." But anyways, if you're too far back, obviously your bolt's not going to rotate and lock into battery. If you're too far pushed into the trunnion, if you're too far pushed out, the bolt has a lot of play between the front of the barrel and the locking lugs. Even if it's just a couple thousandths of an inch, too much play. That allows it to work backward. And so what it is it's allowing it more and more over time. It'll beat into that trunnion more and more until eventually you have the equivalent of an out of battery detonation, which has happened to me before. I showed you the video where that happened to me while we were at shot.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
it's
it's pretty
not a good
crazy.
time.
No.
So no
And,
go.
yeah, and I can tell you that Mike from the Semi-Armed Life, he says that is his when it comes to AKs, squibs and the out of battery detonations are his two biggest fears because he rapid fires a lot while he's at the range. So
Squibs, yes, I completely. I thank God it's never happened to me before. But out of battery detonation will never happen on an AK. if your headspace is good, because there's a built-in, not a mechanical safety, it's like an analog safety on an AK for that, which is the carrier tail. It's impossible because of the way the hammer works. It's impossible for the hammer to hit and actually strike the firing pin until the bolt has pushed forward, which has rotated the bolt, because it's actually hidden from the firing pin is hidden from the hammer until that bolt has rotated. So, I mean, you've got to have really fucked something up for that to have happened, for lack of, pardon my French, but that's difficult for me to comprehend.
Right. So speaking of really fucking things up, tell us about the AK-47 and why did you choose the parts kits that you did?
Well, I appreciate that awesome segue there, Mark. So on the AKG-47, we went with Romanian parts kits. These are really, for anybody who knows, these are the M+M kits. They're forged virgin Romanian parts kits. So similar to what the Wasser 10s have, but we build these on real, Morrissey receivers and everything. So they have an actual magwell dimple. Everything is the way it's supposed to be on a standard AK. It's about as standard as they can come. But they're forged trunnions. You don't have to worry about, any of the cast crap. Everything is, it's grade 1 Romanian military kits. So it's not commercial. It's actually made for the Romanian military. So these are about as mil-spec as you can get for an AK.
Right on. And what would you say is the biggest advantage about the AKG-47 opposed to, say, the Visca or some of your other quote-unquote budget AK-47s? Say, like the newest version of Palmetto State Armory, they've got the PSA AKG-F3. What would you say was the biggest advantage?
Sure. So let me take those one at a time as quickly as I can, so I don't waste everybody's time. I could sit here. I could talk about that for about 15 minutes, but I'll just briefly compare to the Vishka. Not even in the same ballpark. They have cast trunnions. They have cast carriers. They got lightning cuts that weaken the integrity of the piston. They've just got a lot of stuff I really don't agree with, and non-lined American-made barrel. That's not hammer forged, just a whole bunch of things. The Vishka, I don't even think is in the same ballpark as mine. That's why I jokingly say, people are like, well, what do you think about your competition? So, like, they're not my competition. Like, I have competition. They're not it. So that sounded really elitist now that I say it out loud, but like, there's just so many just different categories that, like, check mark and X, I don't consider the Vishka player. But something that's a little closer is like the Wasser 10, because they're both made on Romanian parts kits. Both forged trunnions, both cold hammer forged barrels. So you actually have a close competitor there, right? Ours, I would say, better QC, because every single gun every single AKG-47, and I will keep it this way as long as it's feasible for me to do. Every single one is hand QC'd by me. I've picked it up, looked at it, made sure the rivets aren't shit, made sure it headspaces everything, no canted sights and everything. And I've got my signature on every single gun. So the QC is better. We have real receivers, which if anybody has ever owned a Wasser 10, they know what I'm talking about, where it doesn't have magwell dimples. They just like kind of crudely spot weld plates into the magwell instead of an actual dimple. And it's visible. You can spot a Wasser 10 a mile away because of that. Ours have real AK magwell dimples. I think it's a better aesthetic and it looks more classic. And it also comes Cerakoted versus just the raw parkerization look. So there's a couple of advantages, I think.
I think you pointed out, and one of the biggest disadvantages, I think you said, of the Visca was that those lightning cuts on the bolt that you pointed out in your video today. So
correct, on the bolt carrier.
Yeah, the bolt carrier. Thank you. So if you guys haven't seen that video, by all means, when you're done with the live chat, not now, when you're done with the live chat,
write it on your arm, and then when this is over, you can go watch it. And please do that.
So one of the things that you talked about in the video that we did together at Range Day was...
We did a video together?
We did a video together.
Did you drug me? I don't remember.
There might have been a reach around. But anyway, let's get into the... It's going to go really bad. So what I
Oh, it
was,
wasn't on YouTube. Oh, that's why. Okay.
yes,
It
yeah,
was that other place. Yeah, that
yeah,
makes sense. I remember that one.
that other place. So
Mhm.
you talked about you have a specific style of receiver for yours, and how does that differ from, say, the Arsenals or the Centuries or any of the other the Viscas or whoever?
So for the AK builders out there, for the Arsenals, not basically any decent AK receiver. It's fairly close. Um, it's a 1 millimeter thick, fully heat treated receiver. It's not spot heat treated where they take a torch and heat it up and everything like that. It's actually fully heat treated. Finished receiver made by Morrissey. So Morrissey is the name if anybody is curious. So they make all of our receivers, and I get a lot of recommendations, or a lot of people like, oh, if you do a 1.5 millimeter receiver, like I'd love that. People just love the idea that their shit's more reinforced. I have in my entire experience, because the Yugos are like that. The Yugos and the RPKs are a 1.5 millimeter receiver instead of 1 millimeter. So you get 33% more receiver. I have never seen that ever make a difference. In my entire time of doing this, like, people ask for it, and I really don't know why. It's just like, it's the rudimentary. They're like, oh, I get more receiver, so it's stronger. But it's like buying a reinforced steel plate. It's like, the plate was fine, right? Like, there wasn't an issue. I could see it if there was like, okay, at 50,000 rounds, they wear out and warp. Okay, I get it. You want more receiver. But I've seen a lot of parts fail on an AK, and I've never seen a well-built receiver fail.
Exactly. I just have to jump in here. The mil-spec guy dropping in $2. Thank you, cheap bastard. He says, hey, Brandon, where the F is my t-shirt? Hugs, kisses. Hugs, kisses.
Yeah, actually, I just spent my entire Saturday boxing up t-shirts. I had like 30 shirts to ship. Mark, yours is on the way as well.
Yay.
And yeah, that was miserable.
So there you go.
Sitting there.
Yeah, there you go, mil-spec Mike. It's on the way. All right. So shut up.
And these bastards, oh my God, we were in a group chat, and these bastards, I was driving to Myrtle Beach, and I'm sitting there, and I have a really bad habit of telling illegal stories live on the internet, but I was looking at my phone while I was driving, and they're just saying like, oh, I just get notifications that Mark from Fit and Fire has bought a t-shirt, and Eric bought a t-shirt, and I'm refunding them. Like, guys, like, I'm not going to make you pay for a damn t-shirt. Like, I know you, it's fine. I just refunded them on Shopify, and in the live chat, they're like, quick, everybody, buy a t-shirt and make him give us a refund so he can crash while he's fucking driving. I'm like, assholes. Like, I'm just going to keep your damn money.
Because at the end of the day, we really don't care about you, Brandon. We care about your merch.
You care about the entertainment value.
Exactly.
It's like, oh, cool.
It's like, hey, I don't know if anybody remembers this, but man, about a year ago, do you remember that video that went viral, like on Facebook, where this chick was driving and doing a selfie video, and she started swerving and wrecked her car and killed her sister? Did you hear about that?
No.
You didn't hear about that?
Fuck?
Yes. So this isn't the first time that this happened. She was driving on a highway. I mean, like an interstate. So she was going at least 70. She had her phone out, recording herself on Facebook Live, and then started swerving, not just like, lightly. You could see her arm back and forth like this. Her sister was in the back seat, unbuckled, and she ended up skidding out of control, rolling her car. Everyone was ejected. Her sister was ejected, obviously killed on the spot. Yeah, it's horrible. And, oh, by the way, it was still going live when they wrecked. So here this girl is laying next to her sister who is dead, and she's like picking her head up and wondering what is going on, and she's like completely out of it because she's probably concussed or something. But yeah, it was completely crazy. So we were
You really know how to bring the fucking light to the party, Mark.
you're drinking, you're fine. Don't worry about it. But ultimately, that's what we were hoping that would happen to you.
You
So
sound like my dad. Lifetime trauma? No, don't worry, son. You got a drink in your hand. You'll be fine. Just step over the bodies, and we're good to go.
that's why mom doesn't effing love you.
I love that video so much.
Freaking who posted? I think Mr. Guns and Gear posted that video today, and I just had it on our loop.
This is why mom doesn't fucking love you.
So, all right, back to the chat. Armistice and Axe is dropping in $2. Says Brandon, screw you and your handsome hair, bro.
As I'm fucking with my hair.
Yeah, I'm waiting for you to throw that into a man bun. Go ahead and do it. You know you want to do it.
I talked to Mike about that, Mr. Guns and Gear. He was just saying like, oh yeah, put it in a man bun. I'm like, oh, the internet would crucify me forever. I know my industry, but I can. I'm officially at the length where I can do the legit man bun.
I think you should. I honestly think that you should do it for episode 2 of AR versus AK guy,
which we're filming tomorrow.
Oh, there you go.
Is the Lance still in the chat?
He should be.
Delance, sound off if you're in the chat.
Well, while we're waiting for Delance, Lehman Russ says, B tried to reach you about an idea for an AK part.
I don't recall that. I think I know who this is. I have a confession to make. I am fucking awful at responding to emails. I get about 100 a day. And not including probably 30, 40 Instagram messages and whatever on Facebook and everything. So I really need a secretary to like sift through this shit because I am fucking awful at responding to stuff. Because usually it's not like, hey, does this shirt come in this size? Yes. It's not like that. It's usually like, hey, the ballistic trajectory of, it's something that's going to take, I'm going to have to whip out the fucking whiteboard and actually like, if I'm going to respond to this without saying like, oh, just thanks for following, pal.
Yeah, it's like Ian's lackeys are emailing you to understand the ballistics of a 24-inch freaking AK barrel or something,
That's like, fuck, I don't even know that. Stop asking me. Why do you think I'm an expert?
So Delance is in there. Before we jump in there, Lehman Russ says, and thank you very much for donating. That's really nice of you. He says, he called your shop.
You called my shop?
Yeah.
I don't have a shop phone.
That's interesting. What did you call it? That's the question.
Yeah, who did you call? I'm really curious now. I have a personal phone. I don't have a shop phone.
So there you have it. We now know that Brandon is bad at answering emails, bad at answering DMs, bad at answering his phone to the shop. He's not sure if he has a phone or not.
No, I know for a fact I don't have a shop phone. That's why I'm really fucking curious now. Like, who did you call that said they were the AK guy? Because it was not me.
It was probably Tyler.
Probably. Actually, I am like 90% sure it's Tyler.
So, back on track here. Delance is in the chat still.
Front and center at the shop at 1 o'clock tomorrow. We're filming AK Guys Part 2.
He said, he dropping another $2. Lehman, thank you so much. But he's dropping another $2. He says, your mom, JK, just emailed you. Smiley face.
Okay. I will check my email after this. That's one thing that, sorry, I'm doing like the Trump thing. I think I'm still like congested, but I'm doing like every 30 seconds. And so like, we're going to build the greatest wall ever been seen before. But the one thing I do get a lot via email is it's kind of weird. I'll probably do a video on it. Just like, not saying, and Lehman, I'm not saying this is you, but I will do a video, just bad ideas. Because I get a lot of bad ideas emailed to me every day. Or like a 14-year-old that, plays a lot of Call of Duty will message me about this grandiose, great gun idea that they've got. Just because okay, to be fair, yeah. Okay, the AK-50 thing was a little grandiose, but... Which I'll probably frame that quote on my shop now. Okay, maybe the AK-50 thing was a little grandiose. But people email me like, oh, I've got this great idea for a game-changing caliber. Or I've got this great idea. Here's the thing, guys. The world is not shy on great ideas. The whole point of this whole AK-50 video series, the whole point of everything was to show how damn hard it is to take something from idea to market, to like prototype and how long it takes and all the heartache and everything. And I feel like a good chunk of you are missing that message because like I just get flooded with ideas all the damn time. It's like, okay, so do you have any money? No, I was not. Okay, do you have any engineering experience at all? Well, no. Do you have anything to bring to the table other than an idea? Well, I mean, okay, got it. So you want me to do all the work. You want me to prototype it. You want me to fund it. And I don't know. I'll probably do a video at one point and just make it like really humorous because I really get some fucking far out there ideas.
And I'd have to second that because for one reason or another, the Palmetto State Armory video I did from SHOT Show just took off, and it's got over 90,000 views. Yeah, it's crazy. Bad audio and all. So for those of you who watched that video and trudged through the bad audio, thank you so much. I appreciate it. I do realize that I need a mic other than a shotgun mic. Thank you guys. But some of the comments that I have has some of the most outlandish ideas. It's like, oh, I wish PSA would come out with a freaking 40 cal MP5. And I'm like, what about a 10 millimeter MP5? And I'm like, how about we get the 9 millimeter MP5 to market first? And yeah, exactly. Let's cool it off. You got a lot of people saying that PSA sucks and their customer service sucks and their product sucks, and other people saying that they're really good for the blue collar guys. So if there's a problem, right? Why don't we just tame it back and allow for PSA to get what they're trying out to the market and make sure it's good to go before we start going into these like weird caliber choices for MP5s. And then they have there was oh man, what was there was an AK variant, an SVD. Is that one of them?
Kinda.
Yeah,
it's like AK family. That's the SVD is the Dragunov.
Right, exactly. Yeah, so they're wanting for them to put one together. I'm just like, can we just
let's master 9mm, and then we'll master 7.62 by 39, and then we'll move to the 7.62 by 54R.
Well,
because that one, when that blows up, it hurts a lot more than a 9mm.
Exactly. And one of the new AKs that they'll be coming out with in 2019 is the 545 version of their AKs. Which I'm very
interested in, by the way.
Yeah, I am too. I'd like to get into the 545, but I think I should probably get AKs underneath my belt first before I go any further. So
this is a standing offer, and I'll make this live in the chat because I know that if your audience doesn't harass you about it, it'll never happen. You have an open invite to come to my shop and build an AK, by the way.
Oh, shit.
So if at any point you want to put this massive, big fucking road trip together and get Tyler and everybody and come on down to the shop for like a day or two, we'll put together some fucking AKs. I'll show you how it's done.
Hell yeah. Oh, man, thank you for that. That is actually really freaking pretty cool.
And I'll only charge you guys $10,000 for the whole package.
That's fine. That's wait a second. I don't know who's making out on this one.
Okay, all right.
Lena wants to know, is it pink? No, it's not going to be pink. It will not be pink.
Is what pink? What? Where are we at?
I don't know. Just throwing that in there. So I think the bad ideas and all the different ideas that are being spun around. Lena's wanting to know is one of the AKs going to be pink?
What is that big ass caliber? It's like 950 JDJ. Is that it?
Whoa, what is that? I don't even know. Is that like the largest caliber in the world or whatever?
Oh, it's one of those. It's like there's like a sporting exemption from it. I was actually talking with Nelson Jr. from TWS, where there's like a sporting exemption. You're not actually allowed to legally have a caliber that's bigger than 50 caliber, or else it's like a destructive device or something like 20 mil. But there's like certain calibers that have a sporting hunting exemption, like 950 JDJ, I think is what it's called. And somebody's like, "Oh, build an AK and 950 JDJ." It's like this massive fucking Tyrannosaur over a little like chode round. And I'm like, okay, yeah, definitely. So after I drop $250,000 minimum into making this happen, are you going to buy one?
Yeah. No, I just want to see you make it.
There's so many just, it's like the people like, no, I just want to watch. It's like, so you want me to go through all the, I don't know. I don't want to come off like I'm bitching about my following because I love my followers to death, but my God, some of you guys have bad ideas.
So let's get back on track. We've gone through a couple different rabbit holes, but before I move on to my next series of questions, the ultimate question for a standard AK, right? The AK-47. We're not talking about 5.45. Well, we could say 5.45s, but nothing bigger than 7.62 by 39. The ultimate question,
to, right?
Exactly, right? Slant break or modern break on your AKs?
Absolutely modern break all day long. I like the slant break. Don't get me wrong. I think it's got a place. All my guns ship with a slant break. Like it's pretty much like the free space and bingo for AKs. JMac breaks and everything like that just kick ass. I mean, if you shoot a machine gun, because I really don't shoot for fun anymore, frankly, and it's kind of sad. But whenever I shoot, it's either for YouTube or for promotion or whatever. Wow, that got depressing quick. I don't enjoy shooting AKs anymore, which I always denied I would ever get to that point. But I really have kind of gotten to the point where, unless it's like exotic or something like new that I'm interested in, I don't really shoot for fun. So I shoot a lot of full autos, and when you compare side by side a full auto with slant break and the same gun with like a JMac RRD4C, it's just so much more enjoyable. Especially for me, because like as a lot of people pointed out in the Vishka video, I'm not very good at shouldering rifles because I chipped my clavicle recently. And so chipped my clavicle, got TMJ in the jaw, so the cheek slap on an AK beats the shit out of me. I really enjoy it when my gun doesn't recoil like a mule. And you know, some of the brakes, like the JMac brakes, do a very, very good job of mitigating that recoil.
Yeah, that's a great point. I just want to jump in here. It is an interesting question from 22 Cheapster. He says, Brandon, do you offer a build your own AK at your shop like Rifle Dynamics?
So I've thought about doing that for a very, very long time. And here's where I always, and maybe it's like humility getting the best of me, which will never happen usually, for the record. But anybody who knows me is just, they're like, really? That's happening?
Yeah.
Sometimes I question, like, I look at the prices a lot of people charge for build courses, and I'm like, what could I offer somebody for that much money? Because I mean, I respect the fact that is a lot of money, like $2,500. Dude, that's a serious amount of money to drop. And I wonder sometimes, you know, do I have enough experience? So I kind of get into that self-doubt, like, do I have enough experience? I know I've got a lot of experience, but there's a lot of guys who have more than me. It's like, do I have enough to be able to legitimately offer something? Because I've taught probably maybe like 2 dozen people how to build AKs. But to do a full class where I'm charging $2,000 seems grandiose to me at this point. So I actually, the way I reconciled it is I planned on doing a build course in my shop, but I wanted to do it for free. I wanted to do like a giveaway sort of thing where I wanted to invite, you know, a handful of people down and take the course for free, where you just bring your kit and we'll build a bunch of AKs. So I think that's where I reconciled it. Do a trial one, so at least if I fuck it up, they didn't pay anything, so we feel okay about it. But that'll probably be a big learning experience. So I don't know when we're going to do that.
Yeah,
maybe for 100K we'll give away a bunch of AK build course spots.
That should just be in a month or two, right?
Dude, the YouTube growth has been fucking crazy lately.
It's crazy, yeah. Mm-hmm.
It's I mean, I'm enjoying it. Me and Delance just sit there and watch the Social Blade stats and do like the live subscriber count, like 55,392, like just because it's compounded. Because we've gone back in November, we were at 18,000, and now we're at like 55,000. And
Yeah, I mean, during SHOT Show, we were talking about this off air, but I was in a conversation with another fairly large YouTuber, and I was talking about you, and at that time, I think you were at right around like 39,000, and that was just SHOT Show, and that's just a few weeks ago. And now you're what? You said you're 53,000, 55,000?
I think it's at or around 55,000 right now. If the trajectory keeps going, we should be at 100,000 before May. I think sometime in April, which is insane to me because like it's still surreal. It's not like I'm expecting it at this point. It's just like it feels like I could wake up at any moment and I'm still going to be back at 18,000.
There you go. DeLance jumping in there, 54,600.
Thank you for that.
There you go. Thank you. And let's see. Milspec Mike, he says, how about the rebuild your IO AK after you break it?
Okay, so I don't know. I was going to make a video about this, like a skit video, and I'm not sure how many people get the joke. Like TRT, like testosterone replacement therapy. I wanted to do one. It was a trunnion replacement therapy. So offer like a TRT and do it like a real medical thing, but like trunnion replacement therapy is available for all sorts of cast trunnion AKs, and like just literally offer it as an option on the website. Like I will take your IO or RAS-47 for $400. I'll strip it apart, rebuild it with a forged trunnion, and headspace it and everything like that, and send it back. So literally, I would make no money on this. It's just a little jab at Centurion IO. So
that's awesome.
That entertains the hell out of me.
That's pretty awesome. Mike Singler, he's saying, hey man, on a serious note, I do believe your AKs are nicely built and your future looks bright for your AK-50.
Well, thank you, man. I appreciate it.
Yeah,
I really do. Like shit like that. We early on in the channel in the AK-50. And I don't want to dominate here. I know I'm talking a lot, but
no, it's good.
Early on with the AK-50, I think it was like 40% positive, 60% negative. Like it was really, I mean, some vitriolic people back then. But I think the further we've gone along with it, after we had our first static test fire, it didn't blow up. Okay, now we had our first cycling. Okay, we got the bolt carrier to move. Okay, now we got it extracting, ejecting, and just it's taken a long time. But now that we just have gone through so much of the process, a lot of the critics, and there have been some big critics, there have been some like big industry guys that I've just taken note that are talking shit that I was just like, oh, interesting. And I take screenshots and things like that. I've got a whole screenshot folder full of this shit. And I'm not vindictive at all. But I notice a lot of the same people are getting really quiet nowadays because it's just gotten so far from, the last 2 or 3 years where it was just a CAD rendering. That's all we had. To, this piece of shit that looked like it would explode first shot to where we are now, where we're this new prototype that we're working on is going to be the one that hopefully in the next couple of weeks is, doing full mag dumps. And we're so excited for it. That'll
be awesome. That would be awesome to see a mag dump of an AK-50.
It's been a long time coming. And me and DeLance are working on something that he is probably dreading, to be honest. But it's going to be probably the most ambitious video project we've ever worked on, which is going to be kind of long form video content, kind of like the video Building the Behemoth, if you ever saw it, where we try to do something kind of cinematic. But for the, building the AK-50, the new prototype, and getting it to the point where it can cycle, extract, eject, and do that for a full mag dump, and do it very cinematic. Do it, now that we've upgraded the cameras, we've upgraded our editing equipment, do something that's very much in the way of like an actual, like The Big Short is what we're kind of sampling from, as kind of like something like in that style, where as we're filming it, we're not looking at the cameras, and letting it all happen, where we're not staging anything, but we're telling a story in a lot more cinematic way. And it's going to be a bigger project, but I'm very, very excited to see what we can do with that.
Yep. So Vanessa Kitty jumping in there saying, do you sell AKs? And Vanessa, just so you know, yes, the short answer is yes. The AKG-47 is Brandon Herrera's baby. That's where he's talking about recently. He just said he invited me to come out to build my own AK. It would be, I'm presuming it would be an AKG-47. But
so it would actually not be an AKG-47.
Oh.
We have our own little style of naming things. Whenever I teach anybody how to build an AK, it is their brand 47. So just like kind of as a running joke. So this would be the Fit and Fire 47 or the
Oh
FNF
yeah, F and
or the
N, F and
FNF
F, F, yeah, something like that.
FNF 47
Yeah, we'll do that. We'll call it that.
or the Fit 47 or whatever, like the Coltac 47 or the Stark 47 that we have.
Right on, right on. Another really good question coming in from Wild Bill. He's saying, do you guys use any extra recoil springs like Wolf or ALG for your AKs?
No, because I don't believe they're necessary. And there is a place for them. Like, for example, on the AK-50, I've recently redesigned it. We were using PSL springs before. I've recently redesigned it where we can use standard AK springs with the booster spring, of course. And I told you about this a little bit, Mark.
Right.
On the AK-50, we need greater than 50% spring compression just because of the design, like some of the limitations to it. And the AK recoil spring will only get 50% compression, so we needed a booster spring, which, I mean, worked remarkably well on the prototype. So without getting too nerdy in the weeds, for lack of recoil, for recoil control and maintaining reliability, we're probably going to use like a Wolf 15% power upgraded spring on top of a beefed up booster spring because it's a dual recoil spring assembly. So it kind of magnifies in that way. If I don't know, probably not a lot of people in the chat study spring dynamics like I do. So it compounds. It has it's like a volume thing. It's a compounding effect.
Yes. That would be correct. And one of the other questions that we had from a dear friend, Lena, she was wanting to know where your facility is. You're in North Carolina, correct?
Yes, I am from an undisclosed location in Linden, North Carolina.
All right. So we've been talking about the AK-50 a lot recently, or here in the chat here, and just kind of get it back on track here. You've kind of talked about where the idea came from, but can you talk about a little bit more of the specifics, as far as why did you choose the certain barrel length that you did? What's the weight of this behemoth as it is right now?
So you just want like specific stats?
Yeah. I mean, and just kind of what do you want people to know about the AK-50?
Sure. Well, right now we're probably sitting at about 30 pounds is going to be roughly where it's at, which is, pretty comparable to the Barrett. Barrel length is, again, going to be comparable to the Barrett. I think they do 27 inches and 20 inch. I think we're going to do 28 inch and 20 inch. Just because I think the longer barrel is obviously more efficient. It's where you get like efficiency versus sexy. So 28 inch is definitely what you need for a 50 cal, for, full length to get a full powder burn and everything. 20 inch, you're not getting quite a full powder burn. You're not getting quite the efficiency that you need out of it. And but it does just look sexy as shit. And I think that's honestly what's going to sell more. Because a lot of these people aren't buying this gun to take out trucks at 3,000 yards. They're buying this gun to blow up pumpkins and impress their friends and just look really fucking cool on Instagram. Which, there's a place for that. I mean, 50 BMGs, not everybody has to be like super prepper. You're allowed to buy guns for fun. And you'll get plenty of energy out of a 50 BMG, out of a 20-inch barrel. But it looks really sexy, and it's more compact. And, of course, it takes a lot of weight off the front end. So if you really want to be a crazy motherfucker and shoulder it, you can. So a little bit easier to hold up and shoot.
Right on. So one of the things that you talked about, at least in version 1, is once the AK-50 hits the market, your aim is to ensure that it is probably one of the most affordable 50 cals on the market. Wouldn't you say that's kind of your aim?
Yes, 100%. So it's going to be coming in at like $49.95, assuming some deals go through. So that's going to be right where we want to sit. Hey, I got to take care of something real quick. Can I put this on pause for?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Go right on ahead. He's a busy guy. And anyway, we're going to take a break from Brandon here for just a second. So guys, thanks so much for joining us. We've got a lot of discussions going on in the chat room. The coolest thing about the 338 Lapua AK is on the Alexander Arms website. So your next, I didn't know there was a 338 Lapua AK. That's pretty interesting. So big news from Brandon Herrera on the AKG 47 is that if you guys are interested in finding that, I've got links in the description that will probably take you to a website that may or may not have the AKG 47 on that website. And one of the great things about the AKG 47 is the fact that we've talked about a little bit here for a little bit, that it's cold hammer forged barrel. You got forged trunnions and forged bolt, all that great stuff at a reasonably good price. I would say a very competitive price for some of the other AKs that you see on the market today. So again,
yeah, sorry about that. I had a kind of a pressing situation I needed to take care of.
Oh, no problem. No problem whatsoever. I'm just singing your praises and kind of.
I heard the last bit of it. That was, very impressive. I need to hire you as my my hype guy.
Well, do what I can. So anyway, so we've been running for over an hour now, and I sure do appreciate.
You've taken up that much of my time. I'll send you the invoice later.
I know it's a charge by the minute.
I only need about 30 seconds, so it's okay.
Yeah, that's what she said. So, hey, getting one in there. Atlanta would be proud. So with that, I've got two last questions for you before we leave. And I don't know if the first one's going to be something that you really even care about, but it'd be interesting maybe for the viewers. What would you say is your dream AK? Obviously standard design, not the AK-50, or it could be the AK-50. I don't care. It doesn't matter to me. But if you were going to buy an AK, what would it be?
So I really like, I like cranks. I mean, cranks are really, really nice, but I like probably my one AK. If I was only to ever own one more AK for the rest of my life, ammo availability and everything be damned. 5.45 AK-74 side folding stock, triangle folder, 12-inch barrel, with the standard full-length gas system, but short barrel.
Yeah. So you obviously then that would be
AK-104, AK-105, something like that.
We'll say yes. We'll agree with you because I wouldn't know the difference. But that would technically be then an SBR then at that point.
Yes, correct. They've got them, and I've shot one full auto, and I've got a parts kit sitting in my shop for one right now, and I have not put it together yet, like an asshole. I have it. It's my dream gun, and it's literally just about 4 or 5 hours of work away from being mine, and I just haven't done it yet.
Yeah, because you're a lazy bastard. So
yeah, before we get maybe during the AK build course, I'll actually put that one together for myself.
There we go. There we go. And then finally, this has actually been a meme that's been going around a little bit. I asked this question last week, and I'd like to hear your take on it. Who would win, Frank Castle or John Wick?
Which Frank Castle? I think that's a very important distinction.
That is very good. It would be the Frank Castle of your choosing.
Ooh, that's balls back in my court. Okay, so my favorite Frank Castle has got to be the original Punisher movie. Not the Dolph Lundgren original, but the 2000, I think it's 2001.
So then the version 2 then. It's not the original.
It's the one with John Travolta as the villain.
Yeah.
That's the only one. Yeah, I thought that was a pretty damn good movie, especially before the whole MCU. I think they handled it pretty damn well. I gotta go John Wick. I really do.
Really?
Because Frank. Yeah, I mean Frank Castle's got some skills, and he's vindictive because the whole family killing thing. So he's definitely got motive. But John Wick has just got all the gun fu style on him.
Oh, nice. Well, so I took the time Friday night because I have nothing better to do with my life right now, and did a binge of John Wick. I watched 1 and 2, and even after watching both of those, my favorite Punisher is going to be the current Punisher right now.
Really?
With the series, yes, I do. The series is a little bit more drawn out, so there's some slow periods. But from what I've seen here recently and some of his hand-to-hand stuff and when he's fighting, and obviously his ability to just go full rage tard and just go full red out and kill every mf'er that he sees. I gotta go with Frank Castle, because you can never predict crazy. And if he thinks that John Wick did him wrong, especially if there was like some type of connection between John Wick killing Frank Castle's family somehow, yeah, I think Castle would his last dying breath would be to kill John Wick. So
all right, I'll give you a hypothetical real quick that might change your answer. So what if in one of his retard craze rage modes, the Punisher accidentally kills John Wick's dog?
I think that's just collateral damage.
No, I mean like they have a whole 20-minute cutscene with John Wick, burying his dog and everything like that. And he decided he's going to go hunt down the Punisher. I would love to see this crossover. I've already wrote it in my head. Like, this is going to happen.
Yes.
John Bernthal and Keanu Reeves, where you at?
Oh, hey, firearm rack throwing in here. Frank Castle versus Frank Castle.
Ooh, that is interesting. And also, again, what's up, Patrick?
It would depend completely on which Frank Castle that we're talking about. You'd have to first identify the Frank Castle versus which Frank Castle. So
I would definitely say like 2000, that the Gen 2 Frank Castle versus modern Frank Castle.
I kind of liked, out of the two newer movies that they did, I like the second one, the Punisher Warzone.
Oh yeah, I never saw that all the way through. I saw bits and pieces on YouTube, but I never saw the full thing.
Yeah, the castle in that one, I can't think of the actor's name that played that one, but he was a little bit more dark, and you could tell that there was just a little screw loose. So yeah,
it's interesting, because I heard that one was going on IMDb here. I heard that one was just a little like kind of over the top. Like, it wasn't quite as fleshed out for plot. It was a lot of like CGI violence and stuff like that, which I am not opposed to necessarily. But
no, I'm not opposed to either. I think the whole Jigsaw character in the movie was way overdone. There's this like,
oh, that's right. Oh, yeah. That was weird. That was really fucking weird.
There was that whole scene where freaking, what's his name? The Jigsaw was doing the whole patent, we're going to freaking run them over and grease our tracks with their blood and stuff like that. It was trying to drum up support from all these gangs and stuff like that. It was really bad. It was bad. But the Punisher, I thought, was pretty decent. So there you have it. All right. I want to give you the last word before we get out of here. What else does Brandon Herrera want to say to the people out there?
Well, first of all, Mark, I genuinely appreciate you having me on your show. It was pretty fun, as always. It's always good hanging out with you, Tyler, and everybody, the whole Bagel Dynamics gang. So I appreciate it. And I guess if we're to the part of the show where I'm doing the plugs, Instagram is Real Brandon Herrera. It's Brandon Herrera or the AK Guy on YouTube. And if you want to follow along, we do a lot of just kind of skit videos and different AK related stuff, and of course chronologuing, I guess, is that the word?
Sure, we'll go with that.
Yeah, sure. I don't know if I just George Bushed a word right there, but the AK 50 project, and we should have some interesting stuff coming up on that pretty soon. Probably in the next month or so. So that should be interesting. You like that one?
Strategery. That's my favorite Bush word. I use it regularly.
Nuclear. Fool me once.
Yeah. Oh my God.
You won't fool me again.
There's a song. There's a song right now that has that whole thing with him speaking about. There's a saying in Tennessee. I'm sure it's back home in Texas too. Fool me once. Shame on. The point is, you can't fool me again. All right.
Oh my God!
Dumpster fire.
I was a little too young. To fully enjoy that presidency.
Yeah, so it was the presidency that took me to parts of the world that uses AKs to shoot at me. That was a lot of fun. So anyway,
that's always the fun remark I get. Not to drag your show on longer, but that's always the funny remark I get when people say, because I'm, probably 4 or 5 miles from the gates at Fort Bragg, where my shop is. And so people are like, oh, what kind of guns do you sell? If I'm like, oh yeah, I'm a gun manufacturer. Like, oh, what kind of guns? I'm like, oh, well, the AK platform. They're like, oh, I've been shot at with plenty of those.
Yeah.
And you just kind of get that awkward, like, yeah, I bet.
Yeah. But mine are American made.
Yeah, I sell those to the guys who don't shoot at you.
Exactly.
Like, I don't know what do you say to that?
Exactly.
It's kind of like, oh yeah, well, what kind of cars do you make? Oh, I make Mustangs. Oh, my daughter was killed by a Mustang. So you're just like, oh, God, that's terrible.
Yeah. Thanks for making me feel like an asshole. Thanks. So, all right. Well, let's get out of here. Brandon, thank you so much. I do appreciate it. It's always a blast to be able to hang out with you. And of course, naturally, it just fuels my man crush even more to see your gorgeous locks. And man, am I jealous of that hair.
Well, man, the spooning didn't happen this year at SHOT Show, which means we're just going to have to either push it out to NRA or for SHOT next year. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah. So NRA, I don't know if that's up in the air right now. So
it's close to you, isn't it?
It's in Indiana. That's like, I don't know, 12-hour drive.
Oh God. Yeah. That's about the same for us, but I would have figured it would have been like 6 or 8 for you.
It depends on exactly. Is it Indianapolis? Is that where?
I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure it is.
Yeah. So Indy, let's see. Knox is 10 hours. So yeah, so that's going to push it about 13 hours for me. So
we're thinking about riding motorcycles up. It's going to be, yeah.
Better you than me. So yeah, Firearms Rack says, yes, it's in Indy. So yeah, I'm going to, if I do in Ram this year, I think I want to bring Pops with me. So he hasn't been to one. So I think I'm going to, I think I'm going to get him to come with me. We'll have to see how things work out with.
It's a little less jarring than SHOT Show.
Yes, it is. So we'll see how things work out here in the next few months with Pops. So with that being said, let's just wrap things up in a nice bow. Thanks so much, guys, for swinging by. I sure do appreciate it. Naturally, links to all of Brandon's stuff is in the description below. So if you've made it this far in the live chat, thanks. I appreciate it.
First of all, God help you.
Yes, it's been I've been dragging all night, not because of Brandon, but of rough weekend, and I sure do appreciate everybody's support. Naturally, as we get closer to my fight that we've talked about earlier tonight, I'll give you guys some more details about that. It will be streamed, so you guys will be able to watch it live. I believe it will be through Never Surrender MMA's website, but I'll have more information.
Place bets, hit me up via DM.
Yes, there you go. Hopefully, if dear baby Jesus Lord up there in the sky is going to watch over me, hopefully I will not get knocked out. But these last few sparring sessions, not looking too promising. I'm probably going to get knocked out.
If it makes you feel any better, if you do, it'll be preserved on the internet forever.
It is. It will be because the team over at Never Surrender MMA is also going to give me their video, their raw video, so that I can do a YouTube video as well. So I don't know.
Nice. Yeah, that should be
yeah.
Good luck, man.
Oof. Anyway,
I'll be watching.
Yeah. So with
you
that
got my
being
pay-per-view.
Thanks again, guys, for swinging by. We'll get out of here. Naturally, again, Brandon's links are down in the description below. Check out fitandfire.com. Check out Revolutionary Patriot if you guys are interested. They've got a Fit and Fire collection as well. That's a great way to not only support one of the companies that I absolutely love, but also supports the channel as well. So we will see you next week. Same bat time, same bat channel. I sure do appreciate all the support. Thanks again, guys. And as always, keep calm and carry. Bye, y'all.